This is a lecture on whether portfolio project management works and has the benefits that its proponents claim. This lecture was prepared by Alemi and narrated by Lee Ballatin. This lecture is based on the work of Rake and colleagues. The study has been published in the International Journal of Project Management. The figures and data in this lecture are directly from the source. Project management focuses on completing a project in the right way. Portfolio project management focuses on doing the right projects. It looks at a large number of projects and sets priorities regarding project completion. To assess the impact of portfolio project management, 125 organizations were surveyed. These organizations came from a mix of industries and were medium to large size organizations. They had less than 1,500 or more than 100,000 employees. In each organization, one person completed the survey. In the majority of organizations, this person was from the IT department. The survey asked questions from key informants within the organization about the nature of the organization, the extent of adoption of portfolio management, and impact of projects on the organizations, as well as the extent of problems within projects. The impact of portfolio project management depends on how well it is implemented. Not everyone adopts and implements it the same way. Some do a little, others go through all the steps. To understand the impact, we need to first ask how extensively the portfolio project management was implemented. The adoption of project management portfolio was based on the adoption of 8 of its components. The vast majority of the respondents, 93%, had a centralized view of their projects and had a central point responsible for collecting, analyzing, and distributing information. Almost all of respondents, 93%, used at least one technique to calculate the financial worth of its projects. Approximately 92% of respondents evaluated the complexity of projects, including the technology risks, cash flow, and organizational changes. Approximately 80% evaluated risk by examining team expertise, market, and environmental risks, and management commitment of the project. 84% of the respondents take into account project interdependencies. These interdependencies include bottlenecks within one project that might affect a number of other projects. 91% of the respondents examined budget constraints, but few organizations, about 1/3, used project risk to the diverse portfolio of projects. 47% categorized projects in order to balance project mix. About 82% of projects checked that the project fit the organization's strategies. 30% of responding organizations used software to accomplish these goals. Each organization received a score of 1 to 5 based on the frequency of adopting any of the following 8 components of portfolio project management. Organizations were clustered into 3 groups at different levels of adoption using cluster analysis. The Stage 1 group rarely used any of these 8 components. Stage 3 almost always used these 8 components. Stage 2 was somewhere in between the low and frequent users. Respondents were asked to report to what extent their organization faced certain problems. A list of possible problems were presented, and respondents were asked to indicate if the problem was not present at all or was present to a great extent. Respondents were also asked to rate the impact of various activities on projects within the organization. Note that these questions get at perceived impact of projects, and because respondents do project portfolio management have a great deal of investment in these efforts, their perceptions may be biased. Objective studies of project portfolio management was not done, and to my knowledge has not been done yet. Each dimension of impact was given a score of -1 if there was significant negative impact, 0 if no impact, and +1 if there was significant positive impact. The overall impact of the organization was calculated by taking the average across all dimensions. In this plot, the x-axis shows the average adoption score. The y-axis shows the score for impact on the organization. The data shows that at each level of increased adoption of project portfolio management, the impact on the organization increases. Organizations with stage 3 impact has the largest impact on the organization. This slide shows how increased adoption of project portfolio management leads to reduction of problems. In this slide, the yellow line shows the organizations with most extensive implementation of portfolio management. The purple and blue lines show organizations with less extensive implementation of portfolio management. Each line in the chart shows a set of problems going from score of 1 for not at all to a score of 5 for to a great extent. Note that in stage 1 and in stage 2, organizations had projects with significantly more resistance to change. These organizations also had more disappointments with the project's final product, in part because there were many conflicts among project objectives. Not surprisingly, the lower the stage of adoption, the more likely that projects were late. And of course, the less the adoption of portfolio project management, the more the financial problems faced by the projects. In short, project portfolio management seems to increase success of projects. Organizations with the most extensive adoption were closer to the center, the point at which projects are problem-free. This study was limited based on its focus on a sample of organizations that may generalize to organizations elsewhere or in other industries. This study also relied exclusively on perception of respondents and not on objective data. Since the respondents were mostly the people who had implemented project portfolio management, they were more likely to judge their effort to have led to impact. People like what they are doing and are likely to give a biased view of its impact if they are putting a great deal of effort into it. The take-home lesson for this lecture is that project portfolio management has a positive impact on the organization. The more the adoption of this technique, the fewer the problems with projects within the organization.